Command and Conquer Remastered, now in 4K with all new looks, skirmished games. It really is a all-in-one collection. Nuclear launch feels great, and an ion cannon, whew, brings back some warm memories. So if you don't know this, I used to love this game. My dad loves this game. My brother loves this game. We grew up on this game. Now, I know they re-released like a whole pack where you can get all the Command & Conquers. And not only that, but the game kind of fizzled out for a while there as well. But I have to say, seeing this winning screen really brought back some great memories. So in this video, I'm going to do a quick overview of the new remastered version of Command & Conquer and Command & Conquer Red Alert. It's all in one package for $20. Now, it obviously is just a repackaged, rebranded game. StarCraft Brood War did this previously with the original StarCraft, and I'm a huge StarCraft fan, but I'm also a really big Command & Conquer fan. But what I was worried about was that when you play this game, that it wouldn't hold up to its time period. The controls were clunky, the units were clunky, they didn't do what you wanted them to do, navigating around buildings. But as you can see here, from a all contents package, you have not only the original missions, you have the covert operations, you have the missions on some of the console releases of Command & Conquer. Remember, Command & Conquer was for Nintendo 64 and a few other consoles on which had their own missions. So you get a comprehensive pack of all the missions. So here I am playing one of the missions on, look at the Mammoth tank. I mean, that's got to bring back some memories, if not anything. And so you get a huge collection of missions. Same thing when I load up the Red Alert a little bit later. You're not only going to get the original missions, you'll get, you know, some of the hidden gems and the add-on packs as well. Now, this one was really cool to me was the control options between Legacy and Modern. Modern being more of a StarCraft, more standard gameplay. But I found when I did the new one, I got all messed up because I was used to my left click to right click. So I went ahead and just moved that back to Legacy, but all the other Modern controls I really liked. The other thing is the game speed. That's something, you know, and if you saw there's also a jukebox option. I'm just showing you kind of the new things. But this is something that was actually very prevalent in the originals as well, is you have to slow down the game speed in missions like this where you start out and there's already units coming at you. And you have to slow down and then you can speed it back up. And that's something that kind of always bugged me about the game was, you know, it was a little slow at times. And then it was clunky. There's no getting around the clunkiness of the game. And just because it looks better, it doesn't actually get around the clunkiness. Now back to the controls, they are slightly better, especially that you can do that Legacy mode. You can zoom in and out right now, and scrolling around the map is a lot easier. I remember you either super fast scroll or super slow. But you know, playing with this guy and hearing these sound effects never felt better. This is really, really cool, and I like it a lot. Like that right there, it's really hard to kill that unit. You kind of got to let the computer do it automatically. But you get that jukebox, like as you saw earlier in the menu, and you have all these classic songs that have also been remastered. So I got a question for all of you. I've been playing this game now for a little bit, and so when you use the engineers in the single player, an engineer takes over the enemy building immediately. But what I found with other games, like Red Alert, for example, the engineer only takes damage away. You need a certain amount of engineers per building. So that was kind of, you know, different to get used to. But here we are in user maps, and this was pretty cool too, that there's additional maps you can download, user-generated maps. And I don't know if you saw that, but when I first booted up the game, you have the choice between Command & Conquer Red Alert, or the map editor. I haven't played with the map editor at all, but that is another option for you, is that not only does this come with the classics and all those games and maps that I told you about, but also you get this user maps as well. I was kind of trying to find a map here that, you know, it looked pretty spread out and pretty good. And as you see, I just downloaded that pretty easily. But then I realized there was a ton of maps over here. If you go to Official and Custom, you have a whole list of maps to check out with as well. And so this is a skirmish I played in Command & Conquer before I got into Red Alert. And because it's my favorite way to play, to be honest. I was never really a huge fan of you know, those maps where you just have one or two units and you really got to move them around. That just loses my interest pretty quickly. Now, the fact that you have to micro and macro on a map like this, you got to be building, you got to be thinking about what units to build to counter their units, and you know, it just, to me, it brings a whole new aspect to the game, and that's why I fell in love with this game and StarCraft. But as you see, I'm kicking this computer's butt. Medium was actually really easy. But I got to build my nukes, I got to take over their construction yard and build an ion cannon, and it brought back all those days of just the fact that these games allow you to just do whatever you want to do. You know, you can go to crazy builds where you only build Marines, you could do only tanks, you can just go heavy on the econ. All that stuff is still awesome in the game. So here we move along to Red Alert, and I did a little bit of single play on Red Alert, but I really want to try online Skirmish. So luckily there's this quick match, and I'm assuming they'll match me up to somebody within my own difficulty class. So now I just like to go over this game in Red Alert while I talk a little bit more. So Red Alert is a much faster paced game in my opinion than the original Command & Conquer. It looked really beautiful for its time, and it still looks great in 4K. The other thing I haven't talked about yet is at any time here I can press spacebar on my keyboard and it will show you the original graphics, and if you press spacebar again it'll take you back to these HD graphics. So this is a real human I'm playing against, or at least I imagine so, unless there's bots in their online gaming. And this guy, his strategy was to just these I don't know what they're called, like the high minerals, the minerals that give you way more if you harvest them, the crystals or ore, if you will. And so I kicked his butt here. And honestly, I was kind of like a dog playing with his food here. I was kind of like, you know, I kind of want this game to go longer. So he actually like regrouped himself really well. As you can see here, like I was a little concerned I was gonna not win this battle here, and he kept getting those heavier minerals, so I guess he was a little ahead of me in econ. The thing that was interesting to me was, you know, that you can run over and see. I'm surprised that tank didn't run over. Oh, see, there you go. This is where it gets really clunky to me, and honestly, I'm kind of a noob too, but, you know, these groups of units that go in groups of 5, you know, it can get really clunky sometimes, like the micro and everything else, and after you play a game like StarCraft 2 or like one of the new Civilizations or something, you realize that how dated this game and the mechanics are. So here is going for a little sneak attack to, I got a couple engineers in there, and I forgot that in Red Alert you need more than one engineer, I guess. So I thought I was just going to sneak in here and grab like 3 buildings off the bat, but that was not. Plus he had a Tanya over here, if you look by the refinery. But playing against a human is really cool because, you know, they makes those decisions. Tanya still made the decision to do that, to kill the, kill the engineer. So the game kept going, and to be honest, he was doing pretty decent. Like he got a decent army here, but this is pretty much where it went downhill after this. He kind of kept doing the same strategy and wasn't really differentiating his units very much. So anyways, long story short, I eventually kicked his butt. So at this point, let me just share with you my final thoughts, and I probably have about 5 hours, 6 hours into the game, both Command & Conquer and Command & Conquer Red Alert. I beat all those games back in the day, and I don't really have an interest in beating them again, necessarily. But I have to say I really enjoy some of those secret missions, like the ant mission and the dinosaur missions, and I think there's some that I may have skipped over or just don't remember. So with all that said, I definitely think I'll be booting this up and getting into those missions and things. I just don't think I would be doing it chronologically. But the really cool thing about it is, you know, a lot of those missions you can kind of jump around, especially with the add-on packs. The music is everything you always remember. It really is. The soundtrack on this game is phenomenal. Also, just the unit speech itself is just so nostalgic, especially if you grew up playing these games. But, you know, back to my cons that I've said multiple times now, this game doesn't necessarily hold up for its time. But then again, it's not a $60 game. For a $20 game, I think it's great, especially with that online skirmish capability. I think just playing a couple skirmish games is probably going to be my jam moving forward, especially now that they have, you know, some sort of ranking system involved, so you're not just going to get plowed, hopefully, and you'll have fun playing against opponents. Really opens up, that's the thing about, you know, RTS, is, you know, you really have to adapt and change, and it really makes for interesting gameplay. I have to say they knocked it out of the park as far as graphics, and that's something also. See how I was able to click 5 units there? I don't remember if you could do that in the original Red Alert or not. I do remember in the original Command & Conquer you could not do that. You had to build like one thing at a time, and it was the biggest thing to me that did not, you know, hold up in time. Now back to EA, and EA is a company and they're just releasing old gameplay. That's a valid point, and if you don't like EA and you don't like what they do, I agree. The other thing is, if you buy the pack, back in the day they like rebundled all these games, but just, you know, with the original graphics. And my dad owns that game, and I've played that game, and I noticed that it actually crashes your computer sometimes. It doesn't run that great. So I actually think that's another reason why this kind of knocked it out of the park, is the compatibility and how easy it is and fast it is. I can get right into a game and play immediately. So, bottom line, is it worth $20? Heck yeah, especially if you played this game before. If you've never played this game before, yeah, I do think it's worth 20 bucks. I think you're gonna enjoy it. It really is kind of you know, it really is one of the RTSs that defined RTS, especially for its time. So he left, I won, and that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.